What's up, guys? Today I'm in the 2019 Aston Martin DB11 Volante. I just want to thank HGreg LUX in Pompano Beach, Florida for allowing me to take it out and review it and see what it's like to drive. Alright, let's go check it out. Alright, here she is, the 2019 Aston Martin DB11 Volante. Volante meaning convertible. This vehicle has a retractable soft top. It's a nice brown cloth, and the inside of it is actually full Alcantara to match the interior, which is tan and bitter chocolate with the Caithness leather. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. It has the 4-liter bi-turbo V8 that is handcrafted by AMG in a Falterbach, Germany, and it produces 503 horsepower and 498 pound-feet of torque, while the V12 variant produces 630 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. Quite a power difference, but that V12 is also much heavier and hangs quite a lot over the front axle, really upsetting the handling balance of this car. I really like the V8 because it just makes a great sound, and in my opinion it makes the overall driving experience of the car better. It just makes the front end handle better. So the DB11 is a new model from Aston Martin that was introduced in 2018. It's a traditional rear-wheel drive front engine layout with both V8 and V12 engine options. And as you can see, it comes in a coupe and also a convertible. Now out here in the South Florida sun, this pearl blonde is striking. The amount of different yellow, gold, and green flake in it is truly extraordinary. And thanks to all the different creases, curves, and lines throughout the vehicle, when light hits it at different angles, it really is something to behold. Now let's just step back a minute and take in the beauty of this car. This might be a new and I guess modernized Aston Martin, but for many, many years, they've always been known for making the most beautiful automobiles. And the DB11 is no exception. So here you've got that floating arch there that goes into the clamshell hood. One continuous body line that basically starts at the beginning of the headlight, goes all the way through the front fender, down the door, continues down the rear quarter panel, and then tapers off here into the trunk lid, goes all the way around. And it's the same for lines on the back, where you have the line starting here, continues all the way just around the roof. How they did this, I have no idea. That must have taken some real engineering. So this line, you can actually follow it. Then it becomes the door sill. Actually starts up again here and continues all the way into the hood. So I mean, you can follow body lines all the way around the car. The amount of engineering that went into this car is truly extraordinary. And I really love the wheel design of this car with the 20-inch wheels. The massive front and rear brakes. They look like 6-piston front calipers and 4-piston rear calipers. The electronic parking brake there. A lot of people always wonder what that is. And some things you might notice around the vehicle are the front and rear wraparound parking sensors, the rain sensor there. You have options like lane keep assist and things like that. But what you also have is one of the many features adopted from Mercedes-Benz, the surround view camera system. So you have the camera here, right in the mirror. You have your front camera, and around the back, you have your rear camera as well, along with those same parking sensors that wrap all the way around for the parking assist system. And you gotta love that LED brake light integrated perfectly into the back trim piece here for the roof. So it always stays visible, but also out of the way. And another thing I love about the DB11, I'm not sure if it's an option or if it's exclusive to this model, but you have these clear and blacked out taillights. They look like pieces of art. You have this design that goes all the way through, this like black chrome, and then the lines here, the little strips light up with the red at night. And unlike many cars, which has fake vents pretty much everywhere, I won't mention any, but you know what I'm talking about, this has quite real and metal hood vents, which are very, very nice, functional. And you've got some more intakes and ducts down here for the radiator grill, and then you've got the intercoolers, all the oil coolers and everything. And now for the headlights, which we'll turn on in a second for you guys. They are full self-contained LED units. They're active, and it has this very unique shape for the projectors. So you've got the turn signal built in and a DRL, daytime running light. Some kind of vent here. I'm not sure if that's just for design or maybe heat dissipation, because they're self-contained units, so the LEDs can generate a bit of heat. You've got the Aston Martin badge up front. And with a lot of cars that have turn signals on the fender or one large indicator going across the mirror, you actually just have one little piece here for the turn signal, as well as something else that was adopted by Mercedes-Benz. You have the blind spot monitor, which is right here. You can see the little triangle. So some of you might know, with Mercedes-Benz vehicles, when you hold down unlock on the key fob, it will open all the windows or the sunroof or sunshades if it's an option, and if it's a convertible, holding down unlock will actually open the roof, whether it's a hard top or soft top. And holding lock actually does the reverse, so it'll close the roof, close the windows, lock the car up. So I kind of want to test something out here. Being that the guts of this car are all Mercedes-Benz, the engine, transmission, the software, all the modules, the computers, I want to see if they integrated that into the Aston Martin DB11. So we've got the key fob here. We're going to hold down unlock. It worked. It's currently opening the roof. Just have to keep the fob hold down. And one more unlock should open the windows. Yep, just like that. Okay, so now let's see if it closes. So we got the key fob here. Let's hold down lock. The mirror's folded in. It's a very, very smooth operation. For a soft top and not a small car, it actually goes up pretty quickly. You can hear the beep inside to let you know that it's done. And that's it. And it's kind of cool. You can't see it right now, but the indicator for the turn signal on the mirror, you have this little piece here, but then you have the design that kind of goes through here. Let me see if I can unlock it, you can see it. You really can't see it until it lights up. It's pretty cool. So I'm not exactly sure what this is, if it's a little spoiler that rises up, but I guess we'll see in a little bit. Now let's check out the trunk. I don't think there's a button to open it, so got the key fob here. And not a lot opens up. I mean, the opening is very, very low and narrow, and you're not really putting much in here. You got this bag here, you got your umbrella, toolkit, tow hook. It's all very nice, and we have this leather strap here and the matching brown carpet that's on the interior. I'm not even sure that maybe one golf bag will fit in here, possibly two. I think you'd be pushing it at that point, but I guess it's a decent sized trunk, especially being a convertible. Close it up. And one thing I love about the rear of the car is not only the exhaust design, but this hexagonal design that's going all the way around. You got it on the other side too. It's pretty cool. Alright, so now we're going to step inside, turn on the headlights and hazard lights. Gotta love the way that those swan doors open. So we're going to put ignition on. Put the headlight controls over here. And put the hazard lights on right here. I don't know if you guys can hear the sound of the hazard lights, but they almost have some bass to them and actually sounds pretty weird. High beams are on. So now you can see those nice full LED headlights. They are incredibly bright, even in broad daylight. And you have the DRLs that actually turn to the amber turn signals, and they're switchbacks. So when you turn the turn signal off, they'll actually go back to the DRL. What a cool headlight design. And they're active, so they swivel and they turn. That's all Mercedes-Benz technology. So go into the back, stop here at the mirror. You see the turn signal that is essentially hidden when it's off. And you have this little part here. It's actually very bright. You got the red side markers in the back. And from the side, you can actually see the brake light and the turn signal. Very, very cool. So this line here, this stays as part of the running light, and the turn signal is just the outer design here. It's very, very thin. I think the brake light is actually the part inside. Wonder if we can figure out a way to show you guys that. And of course you have that Mercedes-Benz technology, the blind spot monitor, which is right there, and the little orange triangle, which will turn red when it senses the car. Alright, so now let's turn off the headlights and the hazard lights. So for the hood, you just have this button over here. Opens up both sides. And the hood is actually soft close as well. The doors are not soft close, but the hood is. It's pretty cool. So being a clamshell hood, you just open it like so. And you've got that actually technically a mid-engine V8, where because most of the engine, or all of it, sits behind the front axle, so it would be a front mid-engine V8. And you've got the 4-liter bi-turbo V8 produced by AMG. And instead of the usual one-man, one-engine policy, where they certify the engine and they have their own mark of or stamp of approval from the factory, they send it to Aston Martin for a final inspection before it goes in the car, and then an Aston Martin employee puts their stamp of approval on it. So that's their own way of doing it. And apparently they tune the ECU or the exhaust to sound more like an Aston Martin sound instead of the grunting, more angry, aggressive sound you get from an AMG. I can still hear plenty of AMG in there, but I'll leave that up to you guys to judge. It's a really, really cool looking car. I love the way the headlight stays in place. When you have the Viper actually, its headlight stays with the hood when you open it, but this one stays put. You have all these functional vents. Oh, something's happening over there. So here you'll find what Aston Martin loves to use, which is this diamond quilted pattern, which is actually not on the interiors. It's more of like a waterfall leather design. You've got that large central intake that goes all the way up. Actually reflects the air off of here straight onto the turbos, so it keeps them nice and cool. And of course, being the 4-liter, you have the hot V, so the turbos are mounted right in the valley here. So it minimizes turbo lag and keeps everything nice and compact. And honestly, it's a really good looking engine bay. You've got that solid strut bar that goes across, keeping the frame nice and rigid. That sounded like a Z06. Actually just echoed off of the warehouses over here. So, alright, let's close it up. And there's no need to slam it. You actually just go like that. And just like that, soft close hood. So before we step inside, you notice the door handles. Push the end here, pull. And right away you notice the swan doors, which is a classic Aston Martin design element. So they sweep up. They're not exactly butterfly or scissor doors, but they're designed to clear curbs or anything that you might hit and completely get out of the way. So let's step inside. Right away you notice the digital gauge cluster with the physical elements in it, which is always a cool thing. You have this 3D little pattern here. It's not carbon fiber, but it's a cool little touch. Alright, so we've got the start button here for on the brake. Let's close her up. I don't know if you saw when the car started up, the Bang & Olufsen tweeters rose out of the dashboard. See if I can turn it off here. So they lower down there and the screen turns off. And when you press the radio button again, they rise up out of the dashboard. Pretty cool. And the center channel over here stays fixed. So, being a convertible, you would expect there to be some outside noise or wind noise. Well, on the way driving over here, I didn't hear any wind noise whatsoever. That's because the soft top is actually lined with cashmere, and the whole outside is this nice, very thick cloth material that's good for sound deadening. And then you have the whole headliner, which is actually Alcantara. Then you have the contrast stitching on the visors, which looks very nice. Because it is quite hot out, we're going to review the interior of the car with the roof up. But just to demonstrate how the top works, you got the button here. Windows go down. Soft top retracts. Just like that. We're open air, drop top cruising. Love this frameless mirror here. A lot of cars don't get their rear view mirrors right, and not only is this nice high quality glass with the tinted edge here, but the frameless design is really nice, especially for a luxury Grand Tourer like this. Now you can really see that tan and bitter chocolate interior when you have the burled wood. With a car like this, you really don't need carbon fiber everywhere. Just with all the unique designs and styles and materials, it is really refreshing. Okay, so sitting here in the 2019 DB11 Volante, the first thing you notice is just the craftsmanship, the fit and finish, and the quality of everything. I mean, it's exactly what you'd expect from an Aston Martin interior, but all the leather, the wood grain, all the unique designs here and the stitching, it really is second to none. Now add a bunch of Mercedes-Benz technology into that, And you've really got one heck of a car. So some of you might notice that this is from Mercedes-Benz, the command here, the touchscreen. And then you have the wheel here, this whole, basically everything. So the turn signal controls here, the wiper controls, the heated steering wheel, and the cruise control are all from Mercedes-Benz. And the window switches are just a new design that Aston Martin did. But the most obvious is probably when you turn on the radio and you see the old Mercedes-Benz command. So it's all the new controls and switchgear and all that, but it's the old command system. So Aston Martin made a deal with Mercedes-Benz that every new model of Aston Martin could have the previous generation of Mercedes-Benz command in it. So even though they're in 2019 and the new MBUX system is out, this software or this version of command is actually from probably 2012, 2013. In 2014, the new version came out. It's actually in my S-Class, but this is definitely the old style. It is not touchscreen, so you have to use the wheel here and all the buttons. It's very responsive though. They updated the software enough, but it is very much the old version. You have all your steering wheel controls here. One is to specifically just to firm up the suspension. And you have 3 levels of suspension. So you have GT mode, Sport mode, and Sport Plus. And individually, you can control the engine and transmission. So you have the same selector here. You have Sport, which actually just opened the exhaust flaps and changed the gauge here. And then you have Sport Plus, which changed it even further. And back into GT, it closed the exhaust valves up. If I had auto start stop activated, it would turn it on, so let's see. It toggles it there. So in Sport mode, it turns start stop off. Actually, it's still on, so Sport Plus, it turns it off. Okay. We're going to leave start stop off since I hate that feature. Put it back into GT mode for now. And one thing I do love are the column mounted paddle shifters. They're full size and they are aluminum. They feel really, really nice, and they have the markings here. And then you have the full leather wrapped horn cover with the Aston Martin logo. All the stitching. It's a very unique shape for a steering wheel. It is flat bottom, but it's kind of flat on the sides too. It's almost like a square, but kind of rounded. I don't know if rounded square is a thing, but I guess if there was one, it would be the steering wheel. And you can see the optional Bang & Olufsen sound system, which has the tweeters that rise out of the dash. So when you turn off the radio, they lower down into the dashboard. When you turn on, they rise up. And overall, there really isn't much to this interior. It's a lot of buttons, but nothing really mind-blowing. I mean, you've got your classic Aston Martin seat controls and memory settings that are down here. Not in the best place, but I guess it's better than McLaren. One thing that is pretty cool, that does stand out, is the power armrest / center console door. So you have the button here. It opens just enough for you to put your phone, plug it in. You have all the controls here. You have your cup holders. Pops back in. And if you want to open even more to open the center console, it opens all the way back. And you've got some charging points there, some charging ports. And it still functions as an armrest, but if you wanted to go all the way up, keep holding it, and now you've got your armrest. It's actually pretty cool. As far as back seats go, it's kind of non-existent. When you have the Bang & Olufsen, I don't know what this is actually. It looks like a speaker or subwoofer, but it's kind of like the 911. If you have small children or groceries, stuff like that, you're not putting any adults back there. I mean, this seat is all the way back, and there's absolutely no leg room. So even with this forward, and I'm about 5'11", I have plenty of room, but my seat's pretty far back. Definitely a two-person car, two-passenger car, unless you have really small children. I mean, you can see the ISOFIX anchor points down there for the child seat, but not much else is getting back there. And besides the Mercedes-Benz command and all the controls, all the control stocks and the blind spot monitor, another thing that Aston Martin has adopted from Mercedes-Benz, here if you press this haptic feedback button, okay, little camera symbol, it brings up the surround view camera. Now this is very high quality. It's what you'd expect from any modern Mercedes-Benz vehicle. You got 180 view, 360 view, go up and see all the different angles. You see the wheels turning. It's very, very high quality. The screen is big enough. I mean, it does its job. You can see all the different angles. And if you go back, you just go here, there, and then it's just anyone that even remotely recognizes the old generation of Command. I mean, you got the navigation. It's kind of an updated map. It's still pretty old, but so if you do that, just see menu. Got your phone, vehicle, destination. So you go to vehicle. So they made some, it's almost like a hybrid version of the new Command and the old Command. They updated it just enough to make the vehicle feel fresh, but also not being the most up-to-date Mercedes-Benz software. And one thing I'm not really a fan of is these air vents. They look kind of rushed and maybe like an afterthought. I don't know what this piece here is. I mean, it clicks closed, but other than that, the flow here is nice. They call this the Aston Martin waterfall. So you got park, reverse, neutral, drive, your engine start stop button. All your AC controls pretty standard. Heated and cooled seats, which I'm almost positive is an option on this car. Definitely going to turn those on. They're already working pretty nicely. They're quite loud. I guess the more you lean your back into the seat, the less you can hear them, but we'll turn those off for now. We'll put it on the lowest setting. And just interesting things like the way the air vent kind of goes in an angle here. You have the kind of strange looking little door handle that looks like an arrow or a hook. You have the Bang & Olufsen speaker there. Storage pouches everywhere. Overall though, the fit and finish, like I said earlier, is just, it's nice. All the materials you're going to touch is going to be wood, leather, some kind of metal. There's really no plastic in here that I can find. Maybe some of the buttons are plastic, but they do feel good to touch. So all in all, the quality and what you're paying, I mean, this is pretty much a $250,000 car, and it's not even the V12. So you're definitely getting what you're paying for when it comes to quality and refinement. Alright, so now we're going to go get a startup and some revs and sound clips, and we're going to see what it's like to drive. Okay, right now we're taking out the 2019 Aston Martin DB11 Volante. Right now I've got it in GT mode or Grand Touring mode. Keeps the engine, transmission in the, I guess, softest settings you could say. I'll leave the transmission in automatic. And right away I'm at about 45 miles an hour right now, and it goes right to 7th or 8th gear. I've got the suspension in comfort mode or GT mode. Very, very soft. Steering is nice and light. We're actually on a curvy road right now, and it's handling itself quite well. But right now, let's put it into sport, and we'll put the suspension into sport as well. They're each controlled separately. There's no way to have like a mode or something like that, or configurable settings, at least not that I've seen. So we're gonna make a quick U-turn. In sport mode, I noticed the steering is sharper. I heard the exhaust valves open. Brakes are a little bit squeaky. Makes very, very tight U-turns. Throttle response is great in sport mode. Put it in manual mode. It likes to hold gears for a long time, and I don't really like that. Alright, for this curvy road, we're going to put the suspension into Sport Plus. It actually firmed up a lot. You can really, really feel the steering tighten up. And it allows you to throw it into corners like really not many other Aston Martins I've driven before. Aston Martins of old really haven't been the best all-around driving cars. They're great Grand Tours, but when it comes to really handling and putting power down, they don't do that good of a job. Now, thanks to this 4-liter bi-turbo V8 from the C63, it's got plenty of power, lots of low-down torque. And if we put the engine and transmission to Sport Plus now, yep, you can really feel that AMG component of the car, where it just wants to be beat on. It wants you to throw it into corners and wants you to really use it for what it's made to be used for. And being front mid-engine and rear-wheel drive, the driving dynamics are really amazing. I will say I like the transmission a lot more in manual mode. It's not exactly the smartest thing in the world when it comes to driving automatic. It's great if you're just cruising, but if you want to drive spiritedly, really manual mode is the best way to go, especially with these column-mounted aluminum paddle shifters. Right now we've got both the suspension and the engine and transmission in GT mode, or Grand Touring mode. You can still hear that 4-liter bi-turbo V8. It's nice and throaty. And we got the transmission in automatic mode. Actually just got into 8th gear at just under 50 miles an hour. It's a great cruiser or Grand Tour, really meant to drive across country or be a daily driver. And on the nicer days you can put down the top, being a Volante or a convertible. And even though it is a convertible, it's actually very quiet in here. The only thing you can really hear is the engine noise up front. It's very minimal. And of course the exhaust note, which is not intrusive at all. I mean, that's what you want out of an Aston Martin. You want a nice exhaust note. And this time around, Mercedes-AMG has lent their engine, transmission, exhaust to Aston Martin. And Aston Martin just put their own little touch on it. And I think it sounds really nice. Alright, so now we're going to make a little U-turn. Put the suspension into Sport and the engine and transmission into Sport Plus. I noticed that Sport Plus on the suspension makes it really firm, and Sport is really just enough, especially for these little back roads, nice and curvy. So now we're going to put it into manual mode. So we hit the right paddle, and they're column mounted, so they don't move with the wheel. And with the suspension in Sport, you can really throw it into corners. Downshifts perfectly, upshifts. It doesn't auto upshift that I've noticed. Maybe it does in comfort mode or GT mode. It will give you a little shift light when it needs you to upshift, but other than that, it really doesn't intrude on you in any way. So now, just for the sake of it, we'll put the suspension into Sport Plus. Drop it down a third. Those big 6-piston front brakes really work well. They're not carbon ceramic, they're steel. And thanks to the downshifting of the transmission, it helps it brake even further. Makes very tight U-turns. Do a little pull here. Really does pull very nicely. It's got just over 500 horsepower, right under 500 pound-feet of torque. That little 4-liter V8 with the hot V and the turbos right in the valley, they stay nice and hot. And there's almost no turbo lag that I've really come across. Really is quite an amazing car. You get nice pops and burbles from that exhaust. Speechless here. This thing actually is a joy to drive. you're ready just to cruise, you pop it back down into comfort or GT mode. Put the transmission back into auto. It goes to the highest gear possible. And nice and quiet. It's comfortable, soft. Just firm enough. It's not floaty like a Rolls-Royce or a Bentley or even a Mercedes-Benz S-Class. It's just floaty enough. I don't really want to use that word. I would say firm in all the right places and soft in all the right places. And the steering wheel really feels great. It's electric power steering. Feels nice in the hands. And it's very responsive. And this being the V8 model and not the V12, the front end is very light, easy to handle. Turning is nice. It's really just a joy to drive. Alright guys, well that should do it for this review of the 2019 Aston Martin DB11 Volante. See you next time.